Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Is the next search on February 28, 2020? 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? And people's misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E.
I object.
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Or she found out?
What more do you need to see?
All right, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Happy Tuesday. Made it all the way to the afternoon. And we're gonna jump in right away as soon as we give away the internet to Greeners. Sorry, Greeners, there you go. Just 1 second, let's make it look good. Point, there it is. Greeners, congratulations, you won the internet. Please take care of it for us because we need it to be up and running because we're a little bit behind and we don't want any more delays. So thank you, Greeners, congratulations. Maryland Skull member for 26 months. Oh, gee. I can't tell how much you and this channel means to me. It says at least I'm not crazy. Marilyn, I love it. Thank you very much. Not just an OG, but an attorney. Major support of the channel. Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. All right, we're going to jump to court. It's starting right now in, we're a moment behind, so we're going to do 1.25
State of Arizona versus Lori Daybell. It's 10:02 a.m. The attorneys are present, the defendant's present.
Let me jump
This is the time set to discuss a few of the motions before we bring in the jury at about 10:15.
Judge, I do have one other thing to raise that goes back to what we dealt with yesterday. Apparently, Ms. Vallow also attempted service on another one of the next of kin in Louisiana, Larry Woodcock. Again, that information, including his address, which she should not have access to, and in violation of victims' rights and the Arizona Constitution, was filed with the clerk's office.
Whoa.
So we have multiple people that she's subpoenaing that are not on her 15.2, that she's violating victims' rights for. So I'm going to ask, of course, the court seal that subpoena as well, since it includes his address.
All right, it's ordered sealing any subpoena that was filed relating to Larry Woodcock.
Yeah, so that happened.
Do you have outstanding subpoenas on next of kin or, well, let's start with there. Next of kin?
Let me check, Your Honor. Check on that, Your Honor, but not that we're aware of.
As to the extent that you have subpoenas for next of kin on either of your cases, you need to coordinate the service of those subpoenas through the county attorney's office. They can facilitate in that and getting those people served if they are indeed witnesses that have relevant information in these cases.
Katie 214.
And both of those people, Your Honor, Robert Vallow and Larry Woodcock, were not on my list and were not intended to be subpoenaed. So it was an oversight.
So I don't know how OPDS got that information to serve them subpoenas. So someone on your team needs to double check with OPDS that the correct people are being subpoenaed.
They are signed by the defendant. So
All right.
She is the one who's signing those subpoenas. She is the one acting as counsel. So she is the one asking to send those out.
So how was it an oversight?
I just signed them all, and we got them prepared, and I signed them all, and I did not check them. It's my own fault. But
Yes.
I apologize to the families.
So do you know the names of all the people you subpoenaed, or you just signed a stack of subpoenas?
I did sign the stack, but I thought I was aware of that they were the ones that I had asked to subpoena.
For this trial or for the next one as well?
Just for this one. We haven't done our subpoenas yet for the next trial.
That's right. And for the next trial, I need you to be more diligent in what you're signing. And if there is a subpoena for someone who is a next of kin or a victim under the Victim's Bill of Rights, the subpoena that needs to be coordinated through county attorney's office, or is there a victim representative attorney? I haven't had one yet.
There is not a victim representative attorney, so it would come through us, Your Honor.
Okay. We sort of addressed the motion in limine yesterday about the questioning of any police personnel regarding the timing of the arrest, why the investigation took as long as it did, who was or wasn't arrested. Again, I'll ask the defendant, if you think those are questions that you need to ask, please ask to take a break first, but otherwise I'm expecting you to not ask those types of questions of any witness. We then have let's take up the Janice Cox and Summer Shiflett video. You've had a chance to review that?
I did.
What's your position on the state's motion?
Your Honor, I obviously think that it should not be precluded, that it is evidence in fact of why that happened on July 11th, that it happened. So if there had been no bat, there would have been no gun. It was a reason why self-defense was even an issue on that day, on July 11th.
Let me make sure I understand the state's position correctly. The state hasn't seen the actual video that these two witnesses have watched?
Correct. It apparently.
So absent someone coming in and introducing the actual video into evidence, which could have its own evidentiary issues, but absent that, they can't testify in court about things they saw on a video because it's hearsay. They're testifying to things that they observed outside of court, and there's
Law 101.
No verification, no way to cross-examine on that. So my ruling would be that unless some video comes in and someone lays foundation for that video, that no witness would be allowed to discuss what they saw, heard, or viewed in that video. All right.
That's how it goes.
Then we have the state's third motion to preclude defendant's witnesses. Let's discuss. I'm going to ask you again, Ms. Daybell, how do you pronounce the first person's name? Vicia? Vicia. Has your team or your investigator, anyone been able to locate that person?
That's not rhetorical. You have to actually
I would have to check with my investigator, Your Honor.
What about Gabriel Bonilla?
I know that he has made contact several times with Gabriel. I don't know if he has interviewed him, but I know that he's made contact with him several times.
Do you know if he's been served with a subpoena?
We're looking that up now.
We'll just wait. She signed a stack of subpoenas without looking at the names, sent them out to victims, next of kin, all that. Filed the addresses with the... Yeah, she messed that one up a little bit. It's like,
and while you're at it, I'm going to ask about Ashlyn Rind and Barry Cox.
Okay. What does it say?
Deal with as best I could. I probably need to empty out my freezer, move the freezer, make sure there's no bleach underneath it. But at this point, we just need to burn that wing of the house anyway. It's terrible.
So it looks like that Ashlyn Rind was not served or found, that Gabe Bonilla, OPDS, several times tried to serve that subpoena and it has not been served, and I'm not sure on the Barry Cox.
All right, well, as was indicated by the state yesterday, they may be resting their case in chief sometime Thursday, at the latest Monday. So you're kind of out of time on producing these witnesses for interview. I shouldn't say you're kind of out of time. You are out of time. I don't know that I need to effectively preclude them because you haven't been able to serve them or get them to appear, in which case they wouldn't be called as witnesses. In the event that they are served or surfaced, we'd still need to have a discussion of whether they have any relevant information and whether they should still be precluded because of the late disclosure of what that testimony might be. So unless they're produced to the state for an interview here within the next day or two, they would be effectively precluded. Even if they are produced for an interview, they still could be precluded. Zachary Cox, let's talk about Zachary Cox. Has he been subpoenaed? The state has interviewed that witness apparently, but based on their motion, they don't believe he has any relevant information to offer for this trial. Do you believe he has relevant information to offer?
I do, Your Honor.
And what is that?
He was with my brother, Adam Cox, that day on the 11th, and was in communication with Adam and Charles during that day and prior to that day.
What testimony would he offer that would be admissible, that would be relevant to either self-defense or this did or didn't occur?
He would be able to testify about what Adam already testified to, verify it or unverify it,
Unverified.
What specifically?
about what their itinerary was during that day and the day before and the following day.
She doesn't like giving out details about her case.
When did the state interviewed this witness?
Obviously, I had no idea what he would be called about, so I talked to him for a few minutes.
Did he have any idea what he would be called about?
No.
All right.
I think unless the defendant says that he's relevant to impeach Adam in some way, then I don't really understand the relevance. I mean, she just said that he could be testify to verify what Adam said. So she's going to call him to confirm that what Adam said was correct.
Is that he would be confirming what Adam said, or would he be disputing what Adam said? What specifically? Can you give me some more specifics?
From his interview with my investigator, he would be disputing what Adam said.
Well, then I'm not aware of that interview. With my understanding in interviewing the defense Jeff White, is that basically they spoke for a brief time. It got heated.
Who's
and
they?
Jeff White and Zachary Cox. They did not have a full interview, is my understanding. I've not been provided with a recording of that, but in my discussion, my interview of Jeff White as a potential witness, he advised just that that Zach had advised that he had lived with them, meaning Charles and Lori, prior to them moving into this house, prior to them being separated. And that's about the extent of what I understood their interview to be. But maybe Mr. White can provide information as to how he...
Mr. White, do you have any information on, you interviewed Zachary Cox?
Yes.
All right. And did Mr. Cox provide information that would be relevant to this trial to you?
When I spoke to Mr. Cox, he was, in short, he was very belligerent. When we had spoken, I was asking about information about his father and him, as well as with Charles. The information that I did obtain from him did not agree with what his father had told me in the interview through the state.
His father being?
Adam.
No. Do you know if Zachary Cox has been served a subpoena?
As far as I know, I think that went through OPDS.
All right. I guess we'll see if he actually gets served and shows up at court. He may not, in which case it's not an issue I need to deal with. But if he does show up, we will need to flesh out whether he has relevant information, whether he should be allowed to testify. All right, who's the state going to be calling today?
Your Honor, the state, obviously, we still have a witness on the stand. And then, as I advised, we'll be calling Ariel Werther. And then we would call Detective Duncan. So
Okay.
we may finish tomorrow, Your Honor.
Okay. My staff just signaled me that we're... Oh, the last juror did just show up. Okay, we'll bring the jury in. Let's have that witness come back up.
Get this up, bring the jury, make this all happen. Okay, as they do that, we're going to jump to 8:30 here.
Bring the jury.
There we go. All right. While we're doing this, we're getting word from Jonathan Hall. J Hall 7 News is his handle. He's with WHDH-TV in Boston, saying we may have a jury in the Karen Reed trial. It appears to courtroom observers an older man and a younger woman have made the cut. Victoria George at the defense table seems to be handed a piece of paper by David Nianetti when jurors are selected. And if none have been dropped today, that would bring us to 18. 9 men, 8 women. If 9 men, 9 women, if true. And that would pretty much fill up the box. You got this audio split up for us so we can hear it in both ears.
Go ahead and resume your cross.
All right, here we go. Yes, party. We got a jury. We're just waiting. Somebody needs to talk.
Detective Inklin, yesterday we were talking about the chain of custody of the phone, so I have a couple questions on that. Yesterday we talked about that Charles' phone went from your hands to the property room, is that correct?
No.
Okay. Where did it?
When I explained to you, it's our computer crimes division, the
Okay.
detectives that do the downloads. Our property room is about a mile away from the police department.
Okay. So it went from your hands to the computer crimes division, is that correct?
Correct. We usually take phones directly to them.
And how long was that between the time you left the house and you delivered that phone to them?
It's about 20-minute drive or so, and then just to the PD and upstairs to where their office is.
Okay. And who did you turn that over to at the computer crimes division?
Sergeant Olness was the sergeant of the unit at the time.
And did you use the passcode to access the phone at all?
I did not. I don't do downloads or exams of devices.
Okay. Did you look to see if the threatening text messages from Charles did actually exist?
I did not do an exam of the phone.
Yesterday, we watched the clip of my interview with you, and we discussed the threatening text messages. Is that correct?
Correct. You told me about them.
And you stated that I did not show them to you. Is that correct?
You did not show them to me, no.
And did you ask me to show them to you?
I did not.
Had I been cooperative all that day?
Yes.
Yes. Give or take.
Do you think I would have shown them to you if you would have asked me?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Why is she so bitter at everybody?
Was Tylee also cooperative that day?
I believe so.
Was Alex cooperative that day?
I don't know. I did not have contact with Alex.
At all?
I did not interview him or talk to him, no.
Did I, in fact, inform you during that interview that I would have to show you them to explain them?
I believe so.
But you never asked me to show them to you?
I did not.
Did you ever request that I turn my phone over to you?
I did not.
Did you ever request that Tylee turned her phone over to you?
I did not.
In the course of your investigation, did you ever, in fact, see those threatening messages from Charles to me?
I did not. I did not look at any of the downloads of any of the phones.
Or in the reports or anything?
No.
You never came across those?
I did not review those reports or do any of the downloads of any of the phones.
You didn't review any of Detective Duncan's reports?
No.
None of Detective Moffat's reports?
No.
Okay. Were you aware of the reason why I had two phones at the time?
I was not.
Did you ask me?
No, I wasn't aware you had two phones.
In the course of your investigation, did you ever learn that Charles had stolen my phone, so I had to replace it?
Object to testifying and move to strike.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it's all part of the investigation.
Sustained, it's testimony.
It's quite
The
a
form of
bit.
the question was testimony.
Quite a bit of testimony there.
Were you aware that after he gave it back to me that I kept both phones?
I'm going to again object.
Sustained.
Lori, you're going to have to take the stand if you want to say this.
Detective, in the course of your investigation, did you learn that Charles had a $2 million life insurance policy on me?
I knew there was a life insurance policy. I don't know the amount.
Did you ever see it in any of the reports, or?
I did not review, and I was not part of that portion of the investigation.
And you never saw that on any kind of Bates numbers?
I'm going to object again to asked and answered.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You didn't see it on any kind of Bates numbers?
No, Bates would be what the county attorney does. That's after me, so I didn't review that portion of the report.
Okay.
That's not how it works. Lori's learning a lot today. Seems like she's using this trial as a fact-finding mission. But for what? What's her big plan once she gets all this information about who talked to who, when, and why?
Yesterday, during your direct, you said that, or during our discussion, you said that we arrived at the Chandler Police Station and that we were taken into the Family Advocacy Center. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that what it's called?
Yes, the FAC, or Family Advocacy Center.
Okay. And was that just Tylee and myself
No,
that were taken
it's
to
the
that
FAC.
part of the station?
I believe so, yes.
And so was Alex taken to the regular part of the police station?
He was in a different portion in an interview room in the persons crime section downstairs.
Okay. So we were taken into 3 different rooms, is that correct, when we arrived?
3 different interview rooms, yes.
And we were all 3 interviewed, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
And you interviewed me, is that correct?
I did.
And you also interviewed Tylee, is that correct?
I did.
And Detective Moffat is the one that interviewed Alex, is that correct?
I believe so.
And these interviews were all video and audio recorded, is that correct?
I believe so.
And did you have a supervisor or superior there at the Chandler Police Station watching these interviews live from a viewing room?
Not a supervisor.
Who was it?
There was a detective in sex crimes that was monitoring the interviews in the Family Advocacy Center. It's kind of standard, particularly the fact that Tylee was alone in the interview room at some point. So she was monitoring both interviews, and I don't know if there was anybody monitoring Detective Moffat's interview because I was not a part of that.
Okay. And what was her name? Detective what?
Ashley Nolan.
It's a little late to subpoena.
And then you said that you had it, so you didn't go in and monitor during the interview with Detective Moffat and Alex? You didn't watch that one?
No, it was going on at the same time. I couldn't interview you and Tylee and monitor at the same time.
And then that means that Detective Duncan wasn't monitoring yours either at the same time, correct?
I don't know what Detective Duncan was doing.
I meant Detective Moffat, I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I believe he was talking to Alex, but...
But he could have been monitoring yours and then talked to Alex after that, is that correct?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Were there other people in this monitoring room that you know of?
I believe Detective Nolan was monitoring from her desk as the sex crimes detectives work within the Family Advocacy Center. They're in the same portion of the building.
Okay. So they can just monitor from their desk?
Correct.
They're not in like a separate room, is what you're saying?
No, there's a monitoring room upstairs in the dedicated suspect interview rooms, but none of those rooms were used in these 3 interviews that you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
And after these interviews were complete, who decided to send us home?
Well, I decided to drive you guys back to the house.
And who gave you authorization to release us, I guess?
Me.
I am my own boss.
You didn't have to talk to a superior for that?
No.
And what about Alex? Who released him?
That would be Detective Moffat was involved with his interview. I was not.
So did you and Detective Moffat have a discussion on what to do next after our interviews were complete?
Briefly, that we were done with the interviews and that at this point, whether or not to get you back to the house and how we were going to facilitate that.
Okay, but it was decided at that time that we would be brought back together and taken in the van to back to the house and dropped off?
It was the easiest way to get the three of you back at the same time.
Are you aware of the press release that was issued by Chandler Police Department later that day?
I am not.
You never read it?
No.
You never heard about it in the course of your investigation?
The press release?
Yeah.
No.
You never discussed it with any of the other detectives?
She doesn't know anything about it.
Answered.
Sustained.
Would the case agent have to be the one who would authorize that at the time?
It depends. As a case agent, we would like to have input or influence on what a press release is or states, but occasionally they're published by our PIO, our Press Information Officer.
Maybe she's going to
So
write a
you
book.
don't, do you know if Detective Moffat was the case agent at the time, is that correct?
He was.
And so do you know if he talked to the PIO and put that out, or if he didn't know?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Do you know if the PIO agent just put it out?
Objection, she doesn't know about this.
She doesn't know anything about it.
I have no idea.
Detective Inkland, yesterday the prosecutor asked you several times, why didn't Lori just give the phone back? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you learn in your investigation that the entire altercation only lasted a few minutes?
That'd be a fair assessment.
Because we discussed that in our interview, is that correct?
We did.
So from the time Tyler came out with the bat and I ran outside is maybe less than 2 minutes. We discussed that. Is that correct?
We discussed that it probably happened in a short amount of time. I don't think we gave a specific time amount to what happened, but that it happened in a relatively short amount of time.
We didn't say that was like 1 to 2 minutes, like.
That was our discussion, yes.
Yeah, that was our discussion. Okay.
Yeah.
So we would not have been arguing for a very long time. Is that correct?
I think it's relative as to how long you've been arguing or how long the altercation took.
Detective, in the course of your investigation, did you learn that JJ was outside in the car?
I did.
Did you learn that the car was still running?
I don't know.
Did you learn that JJ was in fact in the front seat?
Driving?
I know that you had articulated he was put into the car, but I don't remember if you specifically said the front seat, but he was in the car.
Did you learn in the course of your investigation that JJ had autism?
Yes, you told me about that.
Did you verify that at his school?
I did speak with his school, yes.
When did you speak with the school?
During the course of the investigation, I had contact with the school in reference to when he attended and generally kind of the services the school provides.
Do you remember who you spoke to at the school at all?
The director of the school, and then subsequently there were a couple teachers that provided some information.
And how long after July 11th was that first communication with the school?
It was several months later.
But during the course of this investigation, the Chandler Police Department did verify, I guess, that next day that was, in fact, his school and he did attend there. Is that correct?
I believe so.
During this investigation, did you verify that we did, in fact, go through Burger King?
I did not, but it was verified.
Is it from the fries we spilled on the floor?
Were you aware of what we ordered at Burger King?
You told me it was chicken fries and Sprite.
Had you seen, you hadn't seen that receipt?
Chicken
I had
fries.
not.
Okay.
Not a sponsor. Burger King, not a sponsor here.
I guess that
quick
was,
to point
in
that out.
fact, in the portion of one of the interviews that we watched yesterday. Is that correct?
Correct. You told me that in the interview.
Have you ever
So
had
you
chicken
were
fries?
you aware that we also ordered 2 bottles of water?
I was not aware, no.
That throws the whole case.
And in
They
your
also had
experience
water?
with people in stressful situations, when adrenaline kicks in, does it make you incredibly thirsty?
I don't object to speculation or knowledge.
If she knows, she can answer.
It can.
Does it also make you crave
And when you're in
chicken
fight or
fries?
flight mode, does your adrenaline kick in your experience?
I'm going to object here to knowledge and foundation as to her knowledge of this.
I'll sustain the objection.
Did you offer Tylee and I apple juice at the Chandler Police Station?
Apple juice.
I think I offered you something to drink and what we typically would have there.
Did you offer that for the purpose that adrenaline makes you thirsty?
No, I usually do it to people I interview if they'd like something to drink while they're there.
Detective Inkland, have you ever seen me not calm?
I'm going to
Yes.
object to
Please answer that.
maybe foundation as to when.
All right, sustain, lay more foundation on when she has, at what occasions she has had to observe you.
Well, yesterday, you spoke often of my calm demeanor, my nonchalantness. Is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, there's that word again.
So has there ever been an occasion when you have seen me when I was not calm?
Again, foundation as to when she has seen her on July 11th.
Please clarify the time frame you're referring to where she had an opportunity to observe you.
Any other time, Your Honor?
For example, how many hours on July?
Can we have a sidebar? Can I ask you a question?
With the little nonchalant, my nonchalant, now I can't even say the word anymore. Nonchalantness. Zemi, you've broken me. Now that the word's on the screen, it doesn't make sense. She is nonchalant about everything. When have you ever seen her angry? When have you ever? Did you witness me? Did you witness me colluding and conspiring to kill my husband? Did you? What were the exact words I used? She has a unique style. I'm not trying to mock her, but she does have a very unique style of questioning, and it's very apparent that she's trying to come across as nice and sweet, and it's not working, just for the record. Not supposed to ask the judge legal questions. Maybe you should ask your standby counsel instead. I think it's because it has non in it, which means not. And so it's insinuating there's something that she isn't, and I think she thinks she is everything. So I think that's the root problem. Did you see with your eyes and hear with your ears? Super excited that we've got a jury potentially in the Karen Reed trial. That's awesome. So hopefully we'll get an update on the schedule for when we're going to have opening arguments in that case. Maybe tomorrow morning. Maybe this afternoon. No, I don't know. Could we do it this afternoon, do you think? Probably not. The other jurors haven't been called yet. They'll probably all be down tomorrow. What would Lori's book be called? Nonchalant. How I Did It. No, Lori was in the mission accomplished mode throughout the whole interaction with everyone. I was very chalant, yes. '80s, I saw you sneaking in, I see you sneaking around. There's no sneaking going on. I forget who offers chicken fries on their menu and now I have a craving. That would be Burger King, not a sponsor. Not a sponsor. They do not have a Lori Vallow special. If you go and ask for it, they won't serve it up. You actually have to say, I'd like the 2 waters, the Sprite, and the chicken fingers. It's not a special. They wanted me to pass that on. They said, it's not a thing, just for the record. What is chicken fries? I was scared to ask. I've never had them. I imagine it's like chicken nuggets cut into fry strips. That's how I see it. I've never had them, for the record. I've never ordered them. I never bought them for my kids because I don't buy the Lori Vallow special at Burger King. How to Unalive Nonchalantly. It's a good book. It sounds like a 2-parter, though. Thou nonchalant for this world. Did I say opening arguments? Opening statements, closing arguments. I expect the openings in Karen Reed will be arguments, but they're not supposed to be. I think they'll keep them in line. I think there's going to be, first of all, I think both sides, because they're so into this, they're fighting. I don't think
All right, go ahead and
they'll give much leeway for the other team.
Detective Inkland, did you discover in your investigation that I had run outside without shoes?
Yes, kind of.
She's not so confused.
And did you learn in that investigation that we had stopped at Walgreens and I did purchase 2 pairs of flip-flops?
Yeah, you told me that.
You went to Walgreens barefoot?
I mean, and that was verified later?
It was by a different detective.
Okay.
You went into a store.
You didn't verify that at Walgreens or at Burger King, is that correct?
I did not. That was a different detective.
Okay.
Take issue with that. Don't go to stores
And as
barefoot,
part of your
people. That's
investigation, did you view the video of me going into the Walgreens to purchase the flip-flops?
I did not.
Okay. And how hot was it that day on July 11th?
Walmart.
No, it was hot.
2019.
It was smoking.
Warm.
Like in the hundreds?
July in Arizona.
Like at least 3.
I'd say it was probably warm.
At least 300.
Would it have been difficult to walk JJ to his class on the cement with no shoes on, do you think?
Objection relevance? Speculation.
Sustained. I think the jury can draw their own conclusions about the temperature in Arizona in mid-July.
Detective, did you learn in your investigation that after taking JJ to his classroom that Tylee and I headed straight back to the house?
I believe so.
And that we met with police? Is that correct?
Correct. You
As soon as we drove up, first contact was with
Officer Krautheim.
Yes, Krautheim.
Yes.
Okay,
Good
thank
times.
you.
Good times. Oh, Krautheim. Yeah.
Detective, is it your understanding that we fully cooperated with the police?
You were cooperative with interviews with me.
That we did as we were instructed?
You, with me in your interview, you were cooperative.
And Tylee was cooperative with you as well, correct?
I believe so.
And that you had said yesterday that we were voluntarily interviewed by the police. Is that correct?
Correct. You were not in custody.
The police chose to enter the interview.
Did we know that?
Did we?
I believe so.
When we were placed in those interview rooms, did we know that we could just walk out and leave anytime? Was that explained to us, is my question.
You can ask that.
Can you say it again?
Was it explained to us at any time that we could just walk out of those interview rooms and leave if we had wanted to?
No.
Did I in fact ask you at one point if I could go to the ladies' room?
I believe so.
And did I go? How do you know?
Detective, did we answer all the questions asked to us by the police that day?
By me, yes, I believe so.
And we were dropped off at home by the police, is that correct?
Correct. I drove you back to the house.
And we were given no further instructions, is that correct?
Just that we would be in touch with you at the conclusion of the search warrant.
Is it also correct that we voluntarily handed over Charles' phone to you when you asked for it?
Yes.
Did we delay in that or just do it immediately?
No, you gave it to me when I asked.
Was there any time, Detective, on July 11th, 2019, that we did not comply or cooperate fully with the police in their investigation?
In my interaction with you, you were cooperative.
Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Oh, goody.
Redirect.
This should be brief.
I'm going to start with when you first arrived on scene. You were asked a lot yesterday when you first noticed the defendant. Were you standing there at the house just waiting and watching to see what cars would arrive?
No.
So when you first noticed the defendant you just happened to glance over and see another officer speaking with her?
Correct.
You were asked a lot about her demeanor that day, both when you first interacted with her, taking her over to the van, correct?
Correct.
Did Lori Vallow's behavior stand out to you?
It did.
Why?
So based on what was going on, that we had a homicide, her husband had been shot and killed, her brother was the one who shot and killed her husband. It was inside her home. Her children were at least partially present to this event. Her demeanor seemed odd given what was going on at the house that day.
So throughout this time, you're just noting her demeanor, right?
Correct.
You were asked about whether or not you were calm at the scene. Do you recall being asked that on cross?
I believe so.
Had you just seen your husband get shot?
No.
Inside your own home?
No.
By your brother?
No.
You were asked if the other officers at the scene were calm. You recall being asked that?
I do.
Were you aware of any of them having just seen their significant others being shot?
No.
By a family member?
No.
Inside their own home?
No.
With their children present?
No.
So would it be difficult to compare the demeanor of the officers and yourself with that of, say, Alex or Tylee or the defendant?
It would be a difficult comparison.
Not the same situation.
No.
You were asked a lot about Tylee's demeanor as well. Did you ever see her appearing to be panicked?
No.
Overwhelmed with emotions?
No.
Was there anything about her demeanor or your interactions with her that made you feel she needed any type of medical treatment or medication or anything?
No.
The death notification that you attempted to make, I'll say. So to understand this, we're both Lori Vallow and Tylee inside the van.
They were inside the CR-288 van.
Okay. Can you describe for us what this van looks like? Is it like a minivan? What is it?
No, it's a larger, like 10 or 12 passenger vans, big, full size. So the doors open from the side to get into, I think there's like 3 rows of seating. And they use the van to bring services out, but also to transport people, and they have car seats and things like that.
Okay. So when you went up to the van, you opened the door?
Correct, the side door to open to get into the rear portion of the van.
And you are with your sergeant at the time?
Correct.
And you asked if Lori would come out with you?
I was trying to get her to come out of the van to talk to her outside of Tylee's presence.
Why did you want to do that?
I felt it was more appropriate if I was about to tell somebody that a family member died to deliver it to her. And then typically what we'll try to do is kind of formulate a plan as to how we're going to tell children as to what happened.
But before that, did Lori Vallow tell you something?
She did.
What did she tell you?
She said that she already knew because she was there.
And this was not what you were expecting to hear.
It was not.
You were expecting that she had no idea.
Correct.
That she rolled back up to this house and sees her brother out there but doesn't know what's going on.
Correct.
After
and she's
you
nonchalant.
learned that she was there, did you now feel like you wanted to ask her what happened?
Correct. We wanted to, at that point, transition to not just like a death notification and contacting her, but now we're potentially looking at doing witness interviews.
Did you advise her that you wanted to take her to the station to interview her?
I did.
Did you advise her you wanted to interview her daughter?
I did.
And did you, in fact, ask her to come with you in a different vehicle?
I did.
Did she agree to do that?
She did.
Now, how old was Tylee?
16 or 17.
And she was put in a separate room than her mom. Why?
So when you're going to do witness interviews or any interviews, you want to do the interviews separately. You don't want to interview people together. Obviously, even best case scenario, there's going to be some influence. So you want a good recount or statement from somebody that's their own statement. It's what they saw, heard, felt, not influenced by anybody else in the room or participating in like a group interview.
Were you aware when you were conducting this interview with Lori and with Tylee of the amount of time that had occurred from when she had left the house to when 911 was called to when she was eventually interviewed?
Generally, not specific, but I knew the general time.
Initially at the scene, was there a misunderstanding? Well, let me ask you. When you arrived at the scene that morning, did you understand that when the 911 call came in is when the shooting occurred?
I think that was believed or assumed at the time we got to the scene.
Okay. And was that still your mindset when you were interviewing initially Lori Vallow?
Correct.
So when you started to interview her, you assumed that when that 911 call came in, the shooting had occurred just prior to that?
Correct.
So she watched her husband get shot by her brother. Then it's like, all right, JJ, time to go to school. Let's go. Gonna walk in barefoot.
When you were
come back and talk to the
driving
cops.
Lori back to the police station to FAC for interviews, you again told us about her demeanor. Did that again stick out to you as unusual?
It did.
Why was that?
Again, this incident has unfolded, and we're driving, and she's just kind of chattering in the car. And given what was going on in the situation and how she was acting, it was just odd to me.
There's an attempted murder, I think. I think the guy's here. I forget who it was.
You were asked about, just on cross, whether or not you gave the defendant a specific time when she could come back to the house. Do you recall that?
I believe so.
Did you have any concept of when Detective Coons or Duncan would be finished executing that search warrant on the house?
No, and that's not an assumption we would do.
So you don't have, they don't tell you a timeline like, hey, detective, we'll be done by 3 so they can come in.
No, because in processing a scene, you just don't know. So you wouldn't want to give that kind of time constraint when processing a scene. You're going to go through and very slowly and methodically collect and photograph and process. You're not going to limit a time. We typically try to give them an idea, maybe most of the night, several hours, but I wouldn't tell them a specific time to come back.
And your interactions with Laura, you hadn't even been in the house yet, right?
I had not.
So you have no concept of what the scene's going to be like.
Correct.
Or how long that might take.
Correct.
When you were interviewing the defendant, is it normal for you to offer drinks to people when they're being interviewed?
Absolutely.
Normal for you to allow them to use the restroom?
Yes.
And you did that here just like you normally would?
I did.
Nothing different or unusual in that?
No.
Detective, when you were interviewing the defendant on July 11th, did the defendant tell you that she and Charles argued about the phone prior to Tylee ever becoming involved?
Correct.
Did she tell you that she had initially obtained Charles's phone, and when he asked for it back, she said no?
Correct.
This is before Tylee's there.
That's right.
Does she tell you that she then, in fact, confronts Charles about who he's texting?
Correct.
And that's, again, before Charles is out there?
Before Tylee was there.
Before Tylee is there. And she advised you that she still wouldn't give him back his phone, even though he demanded it then?
Correct.
Did she tell you that she was walking away with Charles's phone prior to Tylee coming out while he is still demanding his phone back?
Correct.
So there were multiple occasions that she told you about prior to any bat or gun being involved that she could have just handed the phone back over.
That's correct.
And she did not.
That's correct.
In terms of your interview with the defendant, did you understand all the facts of the case when you interviewed the defendant?
No.
You told us you didn't understand the timeline yet in terms of when the shooting occurred versus when the 911 call occurred, right?
Correct.
So you were unaware of that 47-minute lapse in time?
Correct.
If you had known that, would you have asked about that?
It's a long delay.
I would have asked about that, yes.
When you were interviewing the defendant, you were unaware that she had Charles's phone, correct?
Correct.
If you had known that, would you have asked about that?
I would have asked about that, yes.
When the defendant was talking to you at one point, she told you that she knew her brother was texting with, or that Charles was testing with her brother Adam. Do you recall that?
Yes, she told me that.
Understanding now that she had Charles's phone, would you have asked her how she learned about that?
I would have asked her about that, yes.
So when you're doing an interview with her at 9 or 10 in the morning, you didn't know that she'd had time to look into Charles's phone?
Correct.
You learned later that she had the password to get into his phone, right?
Correct.
So when she's telling you things, you're unaware that she has already potentially had the ability to access those.
That's true.
And what she's telling you in her interview contained information about the interaction between her brother Adam and Charles.
Right.
When you interviewed the defendant, were you aware of the days leading up to this, the interaction between Lori Vallow and her brother Alex?
I was not.
You weren't privy to things like iCloud accounts before you interviewed her?
No.
You weren't privy to downloaded cell phones before you interviewed her?
I was not.
You hadn't even been inside the house before you interviewed her?
Correct.
If you had been privy to all of the information in this case, would you have interviewed her differently?
I would have.
Would you have questioned her more?
Yes.
Would you have followed up more?
Yes.
Would you have asked for her phone then?
Yes.
When you interviewed Lori Vallow, at that time, were you just going off of what she said because you didn't know the rest of the facts?
Correct. It was an initial interview.
To see what she had to tell you?
Correct.
But you had nothing to do to be able to verify or validate anything she told you?
Correct.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
All right, Amber.
All right, I see we have a
thank
few
you.
jury questions. I think we're going to have the parties approach for those who are having difficulty with our headsets.
Nice. Okay, so while they do that, Amber brought us this breaking news. The Karen Reed jury has officially been seated. The motions hearing is happening tomorrow. That's going to be on Wednesday. But the opening statements won't begin until next Tuesday on the 22nd. So we have a few days to kill. I probably should use that analogy. We've got a few days of time to pass, possibly to make our green chili chicken It's not green chicken. I'm pretty sure it's green chili chicken enchiladas. Green chicken would be bad. I'd say don't eat it if you have green chicken. I've got some of the ingredients have shown up. I have not got the rotisserie chicken yet, which I am going to use, but we do have the Hatch, the flat iron spice, Hatch green chili pepper flakes, which is a necessary. We need that. Okay, I've got to figure out how to do this. 1 second.
Press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Ryan. How's it going?
Good. I can't talk long. Do you want me to send you pictures of my notes from yesterday?
You can. It probably won't make as much sense unless you just tell me, what was the coolest thing that stood out to you.
The fact that Lori looked like she was going to her pants when she turned around and tell the detectives from Idaho.
She had an accident?
No, she looked like she was going to.
Oh.
Because she turned around and her face dropped because the detectives from Idaho were there.
Oh, yes. The two from Idaho that came down and sat from Rexburg.
No, two guys.
Two
guys.
Two guys from they're from Rexburg, Idaho. They came down and decided just to watch what was going on in court. I don't know why I'm only getting one channel, like left ear only.
They were the Colby and Kay.
Yeah. That was that probably made her day. She doesn't like them very much.
And it's green chili chicken enchiladas.
Green chili chicken enchiladas. Okay, I'm gonna make them. I think mine are better than hers.
Probably.
And so,
but I gotta go.
All right,
So
we'll see you. Right.
Great...
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
And then, Dan, by the way, is amazing. She is so sweet. I spoke to her yesterday.
Awesome. Awesome.
Bye, y'all.
All right. See ya. Bye. I don't know why we were only getting left ear audio on that. I have to figure out what's happening there. I can tell you, Mrs. R.A. has my adapter, so I have to go through Bluetooth to connect to the switcher for the burner phone, and it doesn't work very well. Yeah, the investigators from Rexburg, from the kids case, decided to show up in court just to support, just to look in, take a peek at what's going on down in Arizona. And she turns around and sees them. Oh, wow. Just a friendly face. It's always good to have a familiar face in the crowd, unless it's the people who got you convicted for murder. Lawyer Lee has an enchilada contest, and Adam Cox will be on the taste and test. Okay, I have to make mine first. Once I get mine and make sure they're perfect, then I'll send the recipe to Lawyer Lee. Got some nonchalance time. What is the one thing that you can do nonchalantly that nobody else can? I'm asking everyone. Wrong answer is only in chat. What's the one thing you can do nonchalantly that everyone else can't?
Was the rent-a-car vehicle ever searched?
I do not believe so, but I'm not certain.
All right.
I like this one, Blackbird.
Question form number 12. If the defendant and her daughter were interviewed as witnesses, why were they left with a victim advocate? In other words, were they considered victims or witnesses?
So our victim services section, I introduced Lori to them specifically because there are civilian employees that work within our police department that can help families with death investigations for the issues that come up afterwards and kind of navigating that process. So although they might not be classified under like state law as victims, our victim services section will often help our families with like specific crisis type events and navigating that process. So we use them quite a bit in our death investigations.
All right, on question form number 13, did Lori express concerns about police talking with Tylee at the time of the interview?
She did not.
Does law enforcement have to advise interviewees they are being audio and or video recorded?
They do not. There is no expectation of privacy within a police station.
All right, are there any further juror questions at this time? Not seeing any. Would the defendant like to follow up on those juror questions?
No, Your Honor.
State.
Just briefly, with regards to introducing Lori and Tylee to your victim services, were you trying to provide whatever services might be necessary due to the fact that her husband had been killed?
Correct.
And what you assumed at that point was Tylee's dad or stepdad had been killed?
Correct.
And again, this is all prior to you learning more about this case?
Correct.
Is that correct?
No other questions, Your Honor.
All right, you can step down. The state can call its next witness.
Thank you.
Is that correct?
Whose voice was this?
Is that correct?
Can't place this one. One more time.
Is that correct?
I love your answers for what you can do nonchalantly. Tax returns on tax day, on tax due day. Cook lots of food for lots of people. That is a skill. So one of my children yesterday were playing a video game with a sibling. So they're playing against each other. It was a versus video game, and they're playing that and simultaneously watching a movie on the iPad. They get this from Mrs. R.A., who will watch. If she could do 3 picture-in-a-picture, she would, because she can follow all of it at the same time. And so she'll have like a crafting video going on, and then she'll have, another, like a movie playing, and then she'll be reading a book, and she'll follow all 3 simultaneously. So, nonchalantly as well. I can make things harder than they have to be and do it nonchalantly. Was that Jennifer Crumbly? Was that Shannon? Shannon Smith? Is that?
State College Detective Ariel Werther.
I do that with sounds,
There'll
but
be a PowerPoint that he's going to do.
All right, sir, come on up. You're going to stand right here and be sworn in.
do you say a PowerPoint?
Ariel, A-R-I-E-L, Werther, W-E-R-T-H-E-R.
You do solemnly swear that testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
All right, have a seat up here to my left.
Really got to boost the audio today. It's doing really poor on the stream. Nobody's using their mics. It was Tim Bleefnick. Is that correct? Trying to picture the lawyer. Why does this guy look like he could play like a co-star with one of those dancing talkie movies from the way back in the day? Who's the, like, is it Gene Autry or something? Who does he look like? He looks like he could break into a song and dance. See, Charlie Chaplin was quiet. It would have to be after that. It would have to be movie and song. Gene Kelly. That's the one. Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire. And this guy. He was like, also starring this guy. Casey Schnack. The voice. Thank you, Jenny C. I appreciate you having the right answers. Bruno says, I still think it was Shannon Smith.
I do need to give the court reporter a break soon. Should we just do that now?
This might be a good time, Rounder, just so I can get this set up and
All right, why don't we have the jury go to the jury room for a short break? Please
All
remember.
right, for the jury.
Okay, we're gonna catch up because they get a short break and we were behind. So let's
Further regarding how many times the witness had observed her and her demeanor, which would necessitate the witness talking about.
Hang on, let me back up.
Observing her here in this trial.
I missed a couple words. There we go. I want to hear what the judge is saying here. The break's over. Sorry, we're trying to catch up. Marcia, welcome. How's the weather down there?
Seated. The jury's no longer to complete the record. We did a sidebar this morning at 10:42 a.m. At that sidebar, the defendant indicated she wanted to question the witness further regarding how many times the witness had observed her and her demeanor, which would necessitate the witness talking about observing her here in this trial, observing her on July 11th of 2019, as well as the trial in Idaho and possible viewing of interviews or social media posts. I advised the defendant that this is probably not a door she wants to open because the setting of those interviews would be relevant. For example, someone appearing in court intuitively might behave better than someone who's not appearing in court or in a trial. And the defendant said she would move on from that area. Is that an accurate recitation of the sidebar from the state's perspective?
Yes, Your Honor.
From the defendant's perspective?
Yes, Your Honor. That's fine.
All right, and then we did another sidebar regarding jury questions at 11:01 a.m. The first question, juror question number 10, as a detective, does your subconscious mind use a witness demeanor as any type of evidence? The parties agreed with me that that's probably not an appropriate question to ask, so it was not asked. Juror form question number 11 was asked. That was the question as to whether the rental car was ever searched. Juror question 12 was also asked I should mention, by agreement of the parties. And this was the question if the defendant and her daughter were interviewed as witnesses and the explanation between being interviewed or considered a victim versus a witness, which the witness answered. Question form 13 had 4 questions on it. The first question was not asked. Did Lori ever ask for an attorney during interviews of her and Ty Lee? The second question, did Lori express concerns about police talking with Ty Lee at the time of the interview? Neither side objected to that question, so it was asked. Question number 3 on form 13, do police need parental consent to speak with a minor even if being treated as a witness? Which the answer really is it depends, but it calls for a legal conclusion too for that witness. The state objected to it. The defendant did not. I didn't think it would be helpful with the jury in deciding any issue that's at fact in this case, so it was not asked. And then the fourth question on that form number 13, does law enforcement have to advise interviewees they are being audio and video recorded? Neither side objected to that, and that question was asked. Is that an accurate representation of the sidebar we had at 11:01?
That's how I remember it.
From the defense perspective?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so let's give the court reporter a break. We'll resume soon, probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then we'll push through to noon or maybe a few minutes after, depending on where we're at. Do you have everything set up now?
I would like to just try this to make sure it's working.
All right, we'll be at recess on a break for about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. So now we're going to catch up the rest of the way because we had a brief little sidebar there. Catching up. Still catching up. Oh, and we're back. Now we're just a couple minutes behind. I'm going to play at 1.25 speed, so it's going to be a little fast for just a moment, and then we'll be back at the right speed. So, there we go. 10 seconds, 5 seconds. We're back. Jamie, wait till you try mine. You'll never forget it. You'll never forget it. I've never made them before, but I'm pretty sure I can make some fantastic ones. Better than Lori. It'll bring all the people to the yard. My green chili chicken enchiladas will bring everyone to the yard. Do I have to leave early? I don't have to leave early today. That was yesterday. We had the city offices thing that I had to.
All right, let's bring the jury in.
4-hour live stream town council. It was super long. Are you adding pickles? Oh, you're trying to out my secret recipe. Spicy maple bourbon pickles diced in the green chili. That's what I'm thinking is going to be like the clincher. Colby says her enchiladas aren't even good. Canned chicken just... Okay, so I'm not doing that. I'm not doing canned chicken. I've got special top-of-the-line seasonings. We're doing rotisserie chicken from Sam's Club, which is the best chicken known to man. I mean, the Costco apparently has some good stuff as well, but they're too far away. So Sam's Club rotisserie chicken. I'll probably make the green chili sauce myself from scratch, out of a can. But yeah, it's gonna be amazing. We'll see if we can do a cooking show with Mrs. R.A. too. I tried them. There's too much dill, like way too strong. And dill should be a flavor, not like the punch you in the mouth.
Thank you. Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hello, my name is Ariel Werther, and I work for the Chandler Police Department as a detective.
How long have you worked for the Chandler Police Department?
I've worked for the Chandler Police Department since 2008. I did not become a sworn law enforcement officer until 2011. I've worked for them continuously since then. They're the only law enforcement agency I've ever worked for.
Can you tell us sort of the different areas you have worked and where you currently work?
So initially from 2008 to 2010, I was a police dispatcher. So if you called 911, I might be the person who answered, or I might be the person sending the officers and keeping track of where they were. And then in 2010, I went to the Arizona Law Enforcement Academy, graduating in 2011 as a sworn officer, returning to Chandler in the capacity as an officer. I worked as a patrol officer until, well, technically 2016, but the last 2 years of that I was assigned as a field training officer, which means that if you were a new officer out of the academy or somebody going back to the road from a specialty, you might ride with me for a while as I reoriented you to how things are done on the road. And then after doing that, I moved to the Special Victims Unit, primarily focused on investigating sex crimes from 2016 to 2020. And in 2020 and until now, I've been assigned to the Robbery Homicide Unit.
When you were with the Special Victims Unit, did you ever work with the Robbery Homicide Unit?
I did. In fact, from fairly early on, I was aware that this was something that I wanted to do eventually. So I made that known, and particularly working in detectives under the umbrella of persons crimes, you have your sex crimes, family crimes, robbery homicide units. And they all tend to work rather close together. They get to know one another. And I made it known that I had an interest in testing when they had their next opening. So I did that in late 2019 and began my assignment in 2020. So leading up to that, it was something where if I had the opportunity to work with that team, I would do so.
Can you talk to us? Have you ever had any type of training in dealing with cell phones and cell phone GPS data?
Yes, I've had extensive training, much of it more recently. It's something that I certainly became aware of, and I have an interest in technology and what it can be used for in investigations. And so there were areas that I was aware of, particularly working in the Special Victims Unit, so starting from about 2016 on. It was in 2022 that I took my first 40-hour class on the proper interpretation, of cell phone records specifically that might come from the provider. There's an important distinction between the location data that might be found on one's phone versus the data that a provider stores about our devices that can also be used to infer the location of the device. I took a 40-hour class primarily on that subject in 2022, and then in 2023, I took a 40-hour class leading to eventually becoming a subject matter expert in that area.
Have you previously testified in court about cell phone GPS data?
I have.
Have you previously testified in court about mapping GPS data recovered from cell phones?
I have.
In July of 2019, were you still in the Special Victims Unit?
Yes, I was.
And did you become involved in a shooting that occurred on July 11th of 2019 at 5531 South Four Peaks Avenue in Chandler?
I did. How
did you get involved in that?
I believe I was downstairs where we all work in a similar area and became aware that a shooting had occurred, that it appeared that one person was deceased, and I volunteered to come along. My capacity was more to shadow, to learn about how these investigations are conducted with the aim of testing. That's something that's best practice to do if you want to test for a unit. You ought to go out and see how the job is done.
So when you initially, did you go out to the scene?
I did.
And when you initially out there, who did you shadow at first?
Initially, I was at the scene with Detective Coons. I was present during the scene investigation, though, again, as someone who was observing, I didn't personally impound anything or directly conduct the scene investigation myself.
Okay. At some point, as you are shadowing these, were you given different requests to help the detectives who are working this case?
Yes, although I'd say the extent to which I started going out and doing things assigned tasks really began the day after, on Friday the 12th.
So on Friday, July 12th of 2019, did you become aware that no one had obtained contact information for JJ Vallow?
That's right.
And did you offer to reach out to Lori Vallow to get that information?
I did.
Why did you need that information?
To have a complete and thorough police report, it's best practice to have proper documentation, name, date of birth, basic demographic information for all the people who are involved in a case, however they might be involved. Given the information we had at that time, he's someone who ought to be listed in the report.
Okay. Was he also known to be the son of the deceased victim?
Yes, that's right.
On the 11th, had you had any contact with Lori Vallow?
I did not have any contact on the 11th.
Okay. On July 12th, after you offered to get that contact information, did you make contact with Lori Vallow?
I did.
Did you see her or call her?
I called her at first.
And was that call recorded?
That call was audio recorded, yes.
When you spoke with Ms. Vallow, did you obtain the contact information for JJ Vallow?
Yes.
Did you learn from her where JJ went to school?
Yes.
Did you confirm that she had gone to Burger King before taking JJ to his school?
Yes.
Chicken fries, Sprite,
Did
two
you
waters?
at some point during that conversation with Ms. Vallow learn that Charles Vallow was staying at the True Hilton Hotel?
Yes.
Prior to this, had you known that he was where he was staying?
I don't think I had any information either way.
Okay. So as someone who was separate, did you have any idea where Charles was, whether he was staying at the house or elsewhere prior to this?
I didn't have that information, no.
So you just learned this during your conversation when you're trying to get JJ's information?
Correct.
Did Ms. Vallow advise you that she was in possession of Charles Vallow's hotel room key?
She did.
Did she advise where she had found that?
In his wallet, I believe.
So you learned that she had Charles Vallow's wallet
That's what she said.
and that she then had a room key for him to True Hilton Hotel.
Correct.
Was the wallet empty
Did
of
you
cash?
advise her that you would talk to the case agent and let her know who would go get that?
Yes.
After you spoke with Lori Vallow on the phone, did you offer to go out to the Burger King to see if you could obtain any video from there?
I did.
And when you are helping in this aspect of the case, were you aware at that time when the 911 call had been placed?
I was.
And when was that?
That was at 8:36 in the morning.
So you knew as you went out to Burger King that the 911 call was July 11th, 2019 at 8:36 a.m.
Yes, that's correct.
And were you aware when you went out to the Burger King of when the police had arrived at the scene?
Yes.
And was that within a few minutes around 8:41 or 8:42 a.m.?
Yes, that's about right.
And were you aware prior to going out there of when Lori Vallow had been shown or seen on body cam back at 5531 South Four Peaks?
I was.
And was that the 8:48 a.m.?
Yes, that's right.
So all of this is kind of the timeline you're considering when you're going out to Burger King.
Correct.
So when you went out there, were you aware of that? I guess when you went out to Burger King, were you also under an understanding that Lori Vallow had said she was at the house when Charles Vallow was shot?
That was my understanding, yes.
So did all of that play into when you would assume the timing of her arriving at Burger King?
It did.
So sometime after 8:36 is what you're expecting?
To some extent. I was aware that there's a little bit of a logistical difficulty in the question of how one could leave at 8:36 or at just after, and then arrive back by 8:48, knowing the distances and knowing the city of Chandler like I do. So because of that, knowing that it was clearly the case that she was there at 8:48 because she was on officer's body-worn video, then I knew that there was some chance I would find that the video was in fact prior to the 911 call, because otherwise the distances and the travel didn't seem quite right.
So you see
math
this
wasn't
12-minute
mathing.
time from when 911 is called to when she arrives back, and you're thinking that there's no way to go to Burger King and drop a kid off at school and get back?
Correct. One of the other things that I was trying to establish when I called her is where she had taken him to school, and to confirm that we hadn't misunderstood about the Burger King event happening after the shooting. Because if we hadn't misunderstood, and then learning where the school's approximately 7 miles away from the house. So the idea that one could in 12 minutes go to a Burger King, get their order, drive 7 miles one way, 7 miles back, and arrive in that amount of time seemed very unlikely to me.
And no Burger King ever has been that good on
So
the drive-thru.
you're now going to Burger King to try to figure out when she actually went there?
Correct.
When you are going to the Burger King, were you aware of what vehicle she was driving?
I was.
Was that, again, body cam had shown what vehicle she had come in?
That's correct.
And was that a red Kia Sorento?
That's right.
So when you, let me ask you this, did you go to a Burger King over at 2865 East Ocotillo Road in Chandler?
I did.
How did you know to go to that one?
I chose that one because it was the closest one, and I wanted to make that logical assumption that that's probably where someone would go first, and then see if I found evidence there that that was the correct one.
All right, so you weren't given that information, you're just trying to figure out which Burger King it was.
Correct.
Did you ask to see if they had surveillance video from the morning of July 11th?
I did.
So you're there on July 12th?
Yes.
When you look at surveillance video at a place like a Burger King, do you ever verify that the date timestamp on that video is accurate?
I do. We very commonly find that at various places, the level of accuracy to their date and timestamps can be exactly right, or they can be off by a significant margin. So the best practice, and what I did in this case, is I will ask to see their live view, and the live view typically has a timestamp, as it did in this case, and then I will use my cell phone, my work cell phone's location time, or my work cell phone's time, and if they match up, then to me that indicates that the timestamp is probably relatively reliable, particularly if I'm there just the day after the video that I'm looking for.
In this case, was the date timestamp correct for that Burger King?
Yes, that's right.
Did you then ask to watch the surveillance video from that morning of July 11th?
I did.
And as you were watching it, did you see a red SUV and a person that appeared to be Lori Vallow going through the drive-thru?
I did.
Do you recall about what time you saw that happen?
I want to say the timestamp on that is around 7:20 something.
Is it 7:54?
7:54. That is probably correct, yes.
So if you're looking at a timestamp at 7:54 and you know the 911 call is at 8:36, are you already starting to wonder what's going on here?
Yes, this was one of the concerns that led us to pursue this avenue of investigation.
And you're aware that Lori Vallow had told Detective Inclan that she had left right after Charles was shot.
That is what I was told.
So if she left right after he was shot, she somehow is already at Burger King more than 40 minutes after the shooting, before the 911 call.
Correct.
Did you look at various channels from that surveillance video at Burger King?
I did.
And did you also ask to obtain a receipt from her purchase?
I did.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 217 and 218.
Thank you.
We're looking at 217 and 218. Do those contain affidavits from Burger King authenticating both the recording and the receipt?
They do.
And is that from the Burger King that you went to obtain that video and that receipt?
It is.
The state will move to admit 217 and 218.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
217 and 218 are admitted.
Now, just so we know, although we have the video right there and that's been admitted, did you create a PowerPoint we're going to get to in a bit that actually includes the relevant portions of that video in it?
I did.
Okay. So ultimately, we have 7:54-ish that you see Lori Vallow going through the Burger King. Were you then ever asked to meet with Lori Vallow to get that hotel key, still on the 12th here?
Yes, that's correct.
Where did you meet with her?
I met with her at the Four Peaks house.
Okay. Do you recall meeting with her there around 2:10 in the afternoon on July 12th?
Yes, that's right.
Did she provide you with a key card to a hotel, or what looked like a key card to a hotel?
She did.
Do you see that person who gave you Charles Vallow's key card in the courtroom today?
I do.
And can you point her out and identify what she's wearing?
Yes. She's sitting at the defense table wearing a black blazer.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
It shall.
Now, at this time, you had already watched the Burger King video that we've discussed. Did she appear to be the same person you saw driving that red Kia Sorento?
Yes, that's correct.
And when you went to the residence at 5531 South Four Peaks, did you see a red Kia Sorento at that residence?
I did.
And did that have Colorado license plates of BRS 084?
It did.
Did that appear to match the vehicle you also saw going through the drive-thru of that Burger King?
It did.
When you got the key card, did you then meet up with Detective Moffett to go to the hotel?
Correct.
And was that the True Hilton at 1950 South Santan Village Parkway in Gilbert?
Yes.
When you went there, were you able to verify that that's where Charles Vallow was staying?
Yes, I believe Detective Moffett spoke to them, but then we were directed to a room. To a room.
So, were you present with Detective Moffett during that?
I was present, yes.
Okay. And so, you were provided with a room number where he was staying?
Yes.
And were you provided, well, you had a room key already to get in there?
Correct.
Did you, while you were there or later, obtain both an affidavit and record showing that Charles Vallow had stayed at that hotel?
Yes.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 219.
Thank you.
Does 219 contain an affidavit authenticating the reservation and room information for Charles Vallow at that True Hilton Hotel?
It does.
And that's the hotel you had gone to with the key card that you got from the defendant?
Yes, that's correct.
The state will move to admit, and I forget what number that is. Is that 219? Sorry.
This is 219.
State will move to admit 219.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
219 is admitted.
And if I can publish that,
Go
we
ahead.
all know. Thank you.
And now we turn up the spice in the courtroom by playing a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. So let's pull out a little. We see this is from in Exhibit 219, the True Hilton at 1950 South Santan.
Yes.
And did this show that Charles Vallow arrived on the 10th and was supposed to leave on the 13th?
Yes, that's correct.
And then were you also provided with information that this was Charles Vallow's room?
Yes, that's right.
Did you and Detective Moffat go into room 127?
We did.
And when you went in there, what was inside?
There were items that I understood to belong to Mr. Vallow. That was our primary reason for being there, was to secure them. A backpack, 2 suitcases, I believe, at least 1 laptop computer. I assisted in gathering these up and impounding them.
Okay. So all of those items were brought to the Chandler Police Department and impounded?
That's right.
Okay. After you had gone to the True Hilton Hotel, did you also learn that the defendant had told Detective Enclem that she had stopped at a Walgreens to buy some flip-flops?
Initially, I was told a CVS. Whether I misunderstood or there was a miscommunication, I initially believed it was a CVS.
So did you try to locate a CVS in the generic area that you're looking at of the Burger King and the school?
I did. I tried actually 7 different CVS locations trying to locate video and wasn't able to.
7.
So at that point, you were unable to verify that initially?
Correct.
Were you then asked to review the GPS data that was extracted from Charles Vallow's cell phone?
I was.
Did you have anything to do with extracting the data from his cell phone?
I did not.
Can you talk to us about this GPS data that's part of this extraction? Like, do all cell phones give us GPS data?
As an end user and the person who doesn't do the extraction, depending on a particular user's settings, particularly if we're talking about smartphones, phones equipped with a GPS module and where that GPS module is working, they may record the GPS location of the device for various reasons, depending on the settings. I, for example, keep my GPS location off, so you would not expect to find very many GPS recorded locations on my device. Many people keep them on. I find it's quite common. If so, then the people in the computer forensics unit are able to extract data from the phone to include logged GPS locations, and then can produce that in a report, which as an end user, I can view the latitude, longitude that was recorded by the device for one reason or another, and the date and time that it was recorded by the device. And that gives us GPS locations to look at for where the device may have been.
So for Charles Vallow's phone, were you, through that extraction, provided with, I'll call it ongoing GPS data location for his phone on July 11th?
Yes, so there were GPS locations recorded on the device for July 11th, which was the time period of interest, and I was able to look at those.
Okay. So did you look and see if there were GPS location device information on the phone for other dates as well?
I did not do that.
You're just looking at the date of this shooting?
Correct.
And when we talk about the device, so this is telling you not who has the device, just where the device is.
That's right.
When you were looking at that GPS data from the extraction of Charles Vallow's phone, did you discover that Lori Vallow may have actually gone to a Walgreens?
I did.
Based upon looking at that information, did you find an address at 785 South Cooper Road that corresponded to a Walgreens where you saw the device at around 8:15 a.m. on July 11th?
I did.
Based upon seeing that GPS data, did you go to that Walgreens?
Yes, I initially called. I eventually went.
After going to 7 CVS, you decided to call?
I decided to call.
And when you called, did you learn that they did, in fact, Well, what did you do? How did they know what you're even looking for?
I called, asked to speak to a manager, as I will often do in things like this, and said, I don't tell them specifically why, but I'm looking to see if a person came through, and I provide a general description of that person and what it is that they may have purchased. Usually that's enough. That's what I did in this case. That's enough for them to find if they do or don't have that transaction on video. That's what I did.
So you have the time and the date, the 8/15 and July 11th, and you just give them a description and see if they can find anything that matches?
Correct.
Did they advise you they did?
They did.
Did you go to that Walgreens and obtain a copy of that surveillance footage
I did.
from multiple cameras?
Correct.
Did you also obtain a copy of the receipt of her purchase?
I did.
My paralegal can approach with 216. And so looking at 216, do you see an affidavit for that Walgreens that you contacted regarding obtaining both the surveillance video and the receipt, as well as a copy of the receipt and the video itself?
I do.
Your Honor, the state will move to admit Exhibit 216.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
216 is admitted.
And if I can publish the receipt portion.
Publish the receipt for us so we can see it. That'd be great.
So for this receipt, it advises that at 8/19, there was a purchase for 2 different pairs of flip-flops.
Yes.
Okay. And that corresponded to what you observed on the video that is in this exhibit as well?
Yes, that's correct.
In watching this video, did you recognize the person making that purchase?
I did.
And who did you recognize that to be?
I recognized Ms. Lori Vallow, at the time now Ms. Daybell, from having seen the body-worn video and also having met her in person.
Okay. And
big spender.
The video that you obtained here, did you also incorporate that into a PowerPoint presentation that you created showing the GPS data location from July 11th of 2019?
I did.
Well, let me ask you. So did you create a PowerPoint presentation of the GPS data from Charles Vallow's cell phone for July 11th of 2019?
I did.
When you were creating this PowerPoint, did you use any phone records for other individuals such as Lori Vallow?
I did.
When you were creating this PowerPoint, did you utilize cell phone records, and I think you had talked to us about the difference here, and cell tower data that was provided to you by the providers, and by providers I mean like a T-Mobile or an AT&T?
Those records were provided to Chandler Police Department, not to me directly. I later obtained copies that I used to incorporate in my presentation.
So were you aware of search warrants that were issued to obtain cell phone records to include cell tower data for several different individuals?
Yes.
So in your PowerPoint presentation, did you utilize GPS data that was for Lori Vallow's Verizon cell phone with a phone number of 808-755-5452?
One minor clarification, I wouldn't I wouldn't call it GPS data particularly. There's location
Cell tower
data, correct, but not specifically derived via GPS, as was the data from Mr. Vallow's phone.
And if I can have Exhibit 222.
Comes the PowerPoint.
In Exhibit 222, do we see both an affidavit authenticating Lori Vallow's Verizon cell phone records for that 808-755-5452? Thumb drive of all of the phone records.
Yes, it does.
And does it also include some printouts from those records themselves?
Yes, it does.
State will move to admit 222 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
222 is admitted.
Did you utilize then some of the cell tower data that was provided by Verizon in those records for Lori Vallow's cell phone in your PowerPoint presentation?
I did.
Did you also become aware of the police executing a search warrant for another cell phone associated to Lori Vallow with T-Mobile for 480-6?
We don't need that number.
Yes.
Were you provided with those records so that you could also look at the cell tower usage of that phone on July 11th?
Yes.
If my paralegal can approach with 220.
Depp's attorney, is that what he looks like? SJ, does eating Burger King create a calm demeanor?
Looking at Exhibit 220, is there an affidavit in there from T-Mobile
Yes, there is.
related to, again, Lori Vallow?
808 Beachfront Avenue phone number? Yes.
Does it also include a thumb drive of all the records in there,
It does.
as well as some of the records printed out?
Yes, it does.
The state will move to admit Exhibit 220.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
220 is admitted.
If I can just do one more before we
Go ahead.
Were you also made aware that search warrants were executed to obtain Verizon cell phone records for Alexander Cox for a phone number of 480?
We don't know all these numbers out here.
Did you utilize those records and the cell tower data that was part of them in your PowerPoint presentation for July 11th of 2019?
Yes.
And if I can have my paralegal approach with 221. Looking at 221, do you see an affidavit there from Verizon for the Verizon cell phone records for 480-310-9120?
Man, can we just stop saying phone
I
numbers?
see an affidavit, but I see this is the number ending 5452.
And if you can look at that, is there a second affidavit in there?
I just don't want to give out the phone numbers because people try to call them, and somebody else got that phone number. That's not nice.
Yes, this does include 9120, but I saw on the envelope here it lists the other number.
Perfect. So there's an affidavit in there for the 9120 number
There is.
associated with Alexander Cox.
Yes.
And there's also a thumb drive in there of all the phone records associated with, again, that number 480-310-9120.
Melody Faith, welcome to the gallery.
And those were, again, records that you utilized in creating your PowerPoint for
Yes.
July 11th. The state will move to admit Exhibit 221.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
221's admitted.
Now, you talked to us earlier about your training and experience in using GPS data and cell tower data, correct?
Yes.
When you are looking at either GPS data from a cell phone or cell tower data from a provider, do you try to verify the accuracy of that information by comparing it to other sources?
Absolutely.
For instance, you told us that you were using the GPS data from Charles Vallow's cell phone, and you went to Burger King.
Correct.
And were you looking at the times to see if the GPS data and time matched what you saw in that video?
Yes, with one slight correction. I went to the Burger King initially because it was the closest one.
Was
Later, when I was given the GPS data, I looked and saw that it did, in fact, accord to the Burger King. And then I went to the Walgreens because of what I had seen in the GPS data. In either direction that you do that in, essentially what I'm trying to do is make sure just because a device has logged a location at a particular date and time doesn't have to mean it was there. The device could be wrong. It could have been changed in some way. One of the things that we do to make sure that we are relying on good data only is to find other means of corroborating if the device was apparently at that location.
Chris Wallace gifted a membership to Genjo. Genjo gifted a membership to I Talk About Bruno.
Here, if I can just admit it. But did you provide the state with Exhibit 209, that is a thumb drive of your PowerPoint present?
Yes.
Did you sign, and I think put your badge number on the back of it?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's something you created that we've talked about, incorporating all of these different records that we've discussed.
That's correct.
Your Honor, the state will move to admit Exhibit 209 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
209's admitted.
Might be a good time to break
Right.
before we start with this.
All right, let's take our noon recess.
Oh, man.
I'll remind the jury of the admonition. We'll resume with the jury at 1:30 p.m.
All rise for the jury.
Hour and a half break. Even if we catch up, which...
We'll resume with the jury.
Yeah, even if we catch up, it's an hour and a half. Where'd it go? There we go. Now we have nap time. Ryan Applesum says, Scott, can I make one request? Take down the photo of Lori and Charles together and pick a photo of him with kids or alone. Can I do like the torn down the middle one? The delay blows. It does. Well, first of all, they're half an hour ahead of us. Well, in reality, they are half an hour. Like they took a lunch break half an hour ago. Does that make sense? So we've got the half hour delay. But an hour and a half, still, it's an hour and a half from now before it starts again. Trail TV is live is great. Love those folks over there. They're fantastic. I actually need to talk to them here in a little bit. Looking for what's coming up down the road and where to shuffle some equipment to. So, let's see. We've had a fun day today, just thinking about it. Sorry, it's cutting my head off, but I'm standing right now, so I can stay awake. I can't believe they're talking so much about Burger King, the proverbial nothing burger. It was a nothing burger. It was chicken fries is what it was. It was chicken fries and Sprite and 2 waters and then 2 pairs. Why do you need 2 pairs of flip-flops? I guess when you find flip-flops for sale for $4, for $4, you buy all you can in your size. So, I mean, that's a steal. My cat's name is Karen. It's my 52nd birthday today. I'm so old. No, you're not. You're great. You're great. 52. Happy birthday. Glad we could sing to you. I thought it was your cat we were singing to, honestly, just briefly. But what was the reason for the half-hour delay? A lot of judges think that gives them time to fix things in case something happens in court that they don't want to go out. In reality, It's not simple.
Call from
Mr. Wisconsin.
Ivan, my friend, how are you doing today? Happy tax day to you.
Terrible. Worst day of the year. Awful. Everything is awful. But I'm glad to be here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. My desk is dropping without my permission. Hang on one second. Let me go back up. Nope, it won't go back up. There we go. Coming back up. I'm doing well. Of course, my accountant basically said it was a wash this year. So I do get some back from the feds, but pretty much everything I get back the state takes. And then anything over that the state doesn't take, I owe her in fees or something like that. So
stop bragging. Okay, nobody likes to bragger. Okay, nobody likes
It's just because I paid so much throughout the year. It doesn't make me feel good when I look at the numbers at the end. It's like, what? I know what they're going to do with that money, and I don't approve. So,
I'm pretty nonchalant, as I see is the word of the day. 363 days out of the year. This is the one day where you just sort of. It isn't sort of today that's the day. It's the info that you give today, and then it's sort of the wait and see game because it's fine and dandy to hand your answers in, but once they start checking your work, that's.
Yeah. It's the big A, the audit that you're worried about.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I think this will be the year with the sawmill and everything, and then that pesky little bot that I had to sell off, and so anyway, it's coming. And I'm not worried. I've had much more intimidating authority after me before, but it's. It's a good problem to have. That's for sure, right? It's different than the. Yeah.
Hire yourself a good tax lawyer. If nothing else, they can delay the inevitable for a while.
So what's Lori doing? Like, what's the point of all this? Is this just like a retribution? Is this? I understand that there is a right to defend yourself. I understand that you have that ability. But at what point does it become a joke, right?
It's a circus.
Yeah, right. At what point can the judge be like, there's no reason to ask any of this? It can't just be free willy-nilly. Like, you know what I mean? At what point does he have to say enough? Like,
when I watch Lori, especially on cross-examination here, she is asking questions like in the way that I would expect an investigator to ask questions of witnesses pre-trial. Interrogations, interviewing people. I would expect that she's on a fact-finding mission. For what? I don't know. It may be a book she has that she's going to come out with.
But she can't profit. She can't profit off anything already. You can't profit off your own crimes.
Right, but there's also the possibility that we know she's got some delusions, and I'll say that, understanding my background and her background, she has some delusions regarding religion that may be delusions of grandeur. Where she is in fact at one point going to be revealed to the whole world as being the person who was right all along, and we will all apologize and beg forgiveness and eat her green chili chicken enchiladas.
Even if that's true, does she think that she needs a transcript to present the Father in heaven? Here you go. I got it all written down.
The angels will come down. They'll get her copy of her black book. They'll flip through it. They'll pass it up to St. Peter. He'll correct the notes at the gate, make sure the wrong people don't get in. I think she's doing God's work here. That's all I can guess, because whatever she's doing is not for this trial. The questions she's asking, the digs she's getting in, the people she's dragging through, this trial hell is. It's not benefiting her in this trial. It's not for this outcome. So she has something else. Either she has a bigger plan or some bigger idea in mind. But she's got this trial and one more coming up, and then it's just the long waiting game.
It's truly disgusting that she can sit there and seem to take pleasure in getting these little digs in, all the while knowing that the jury is unaware. Am I right of the what happened to the children? Like, None of that's out in the open, right? So here she is seemingly getting her, pot shots in. Meanwhile, the most awful reality in the world is, the elephant in the room. Like, what kind of, that's the part of this that really, sobers you up and, brings you back to reality, is that it's all fun and, games to laugh and, sort of take pleasure in her, pro se status and all, but that's the facts of this all. And, that's, I don't know. That's the part that irks me. But
yeah, Ivan, let me pause you for a second. Bug Dugger, congratulations on 23 months. Oh, gee. Thank you very much. I'll run to the post office and check what's in the box. It is frustrating when Lori is questioning and talking about Tylee and JJ like she is Mother of the Year, and they're her star honor roll students that deserve all the praise in the world, as if she wasn't convicted as an accomplice in their murder. Okay,
right?
That she has the gall to be in there and use terms like mother, referencing herself.
Yeah, I mean, if there be anything more awful than being accused of, taking the life of any child, let alone your own, and to somehow be able to stand there without a shred of shame and seemingly take pleasure in the next episode of her saga is what pisses me off. But anyway, I'm on a day. It's probably not the best. I'll nonchalantly get timed out. Okay, I'm gonna turn myself out, and
I realize it's the tax man you're mad at and not me, so I will give you a one-off. Thanks, Ivan. Love you, man. Thanks for the call.
Okay.
See ya. Bye. I'm frustrated with Lori. That it seems that she is taking pleasure in the idea that the jury has no clue what happened to her kids, and that she's like relishing living in with the praise of being a mom and all the good stuff she's doing, dropping them off at school and driving them here, doing this, that, and the other, with their best interest at heart. When in fact, she saw them as zombies who had, who needed to be eliminated. It's frustrating. Delusional. All right. She wants her 15 minutes. I'm getting a sneeze. My nose is itchy. Anyway, Karen Reed's not starting until Tuesday. Thanks for the update. Amber, thanks for digging this up. She was first that I saw on this with the news that we do, in fact, have a jury seated in the Karen Reed retrial. That we've got, what is it, our 16, 18, I forget how many people. The judge kept adding to the alternates list. But we've got all the jurors and the alternates in place. We are going to be back with them tomorrow, but not for opening statements. Opening statements are not going to start till Tuesday, which means we get a few days of possibly watching some of Lori Vallow, possibly watching a little bit of court hopping, maybe some other little trials here and there. But we will be picking up the opening statements on Tuesday morning with Karen Reed and follow that gavel to gavel as that goes. The jury has to wonder where Tylee and Alex and JJ are and Alex and why they haven't taken the stand. It's curious, but that's not a question. If the jury asks it, we've got a bigger problem, I think. We do have 18 jurors, 9 men, 9 women, a variety of ages. We don't know a ton more than that, just due to the description limitations the judges put in place. We're talking about Judge Beverly Cannoni now. Every morning, as she read to the jurors the idea that there are people who are out speaking freely about the case, we realize that she has made some very restrictive rules about the case and where people can protest and how close they can be to the courthouse. And so, yeah, there's that. KLB, when even Mrs. R.A. wants to throat punch Lori, you know it's bad. Oh, man. We do have a few commands on here. Anything new? I might have to update this list. If you guys see something, or Amber, if you know a command that's not on this list, let me know and we can update that somewhere. All right. Ryan was in court yesterday. Thank you, Ryan. Love that you're able to go down there when you're free. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, by the way, KLB, thanks for 2 months of support. I appreciate that. You've got a green courthouse by your name. Love it. Amber is making an updated list of commands for all y'all. There's one right there. Do we still have cackle? We do. That was it. I do not have big working yet. I can't get big to trigger properly and not cut off the end.
It's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us.
Yeah. I've got to figure out what's wrong, but let's see. How many husbands has Lori had? Is it 3? Is Chad the 3rd or the 4th? 4? Chad was number 4? 5? Everyone's just bidding now. 5. Okay, 5 is a lot. 5 is a lot.
In front of the Walmart.
Chad is 5. Yeah. So all the preceding husbands are dead, right? Is there any previous husband who is still alive? That's my question. Nonchalantly, she's been married at least 5.
I think I'm about to catch a whooping.
First husband may be alive. He's the one that got away. First 2 are alive. And grateful for every day. The church does. The church thinks that that frivolous divorce is not good. It's like the idea that when you get married in the LDS religion, the promise you make to each other is a binding one, and it's not just till we don't love each other anymore, till we decide we find somebody better or something like that. It's really a long-term commitment, like forever. Like this is 100%. I'm all in. There are situations where, involving abuse and things like that, adultery, whatever else that go on, where the church would be like, yeah, that's when you sever the tie there, so it's fine. But generally, divorce is frowned upon. Let's see. These 2 exes are known to be dead. Charles and Tylee's father. Idaho's going to take care of the 5th. So the 3rd person, Idaho's going to get rid of Chad. All in good time. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, let's see. They've got lunch, and it's going to be the end of the day for us before they come back. I'm just looking to see if anybody else is still up and doing any court cases we can jump in on that we want to watch. Judge Boyd looks like she's got a trial going on right now.
And how frequently, how much in quantity, and did they experience, what did they experience as far as side effects of that drug in the past? Okay.
Drug talk. That's exciting. We'll see what else we've got. There's Judge Boyd. I think we might be done for the day. It's a little bit early. Seems a little early. Mrs. R.A. is back, though. They're back from the aquarium. I want to talk to the kids about how that was and what was exciting. But
when are we going to break for lunch?
we already broke for lunch. We did lunch already. It was a short one. We did. Apparently, YouTube wants me to watch a movie about like people that harvest bees from honey from trees in the Andes or something. I've got like 1 million. Maybe my kids use my account to search for honey or something. I don't know. Apparently, that's what I need to watch next, according to the algorithm. Okay. It's a quiet day now. It got quiet. Now the Karen Reed jury has been selected.
What more do you need to see?
What more do you need to see? I think we're good. Replay trial of Lori this morning. We already did. Lori starts late in the day, so. Keep an eye on Judge Boyd for tomorrow. That might be a great idea, Samantha. We do have a couple days before the Karen Reed trial. I think tomorrow morning, first of all, we want to hear Karen Reed.
I'm not a cat.
The judge has a few motions. Actually, there are more now. A few more were filed today, I think. But a few motions in that case to rule on before the trial begins, and then we'll probably follow a mini trial until it starts. Will you cover the resentencing for the Menendez brothers? I'm following a little bit of news. Actually, we've got some contacts, believe it or not. We have some friends of the program who might be very closely tied to that trial. One particular lawyer friend of the channel. So and her hubby. So we'll see. I know that's making some progress. It's coming up. Motions in Lemonade tomorrow. Virginia, Arizona, California. Everyone on the West Coast loves when we take an Arizona or a California trial just because they finally get a regular sleep schedule. Doesn't disrupt everything. Let's see. Not Josh Ritter. Not Josh. Well, Josh probably has some contacts as well, but I'm thinking of a different one. Good guess. I'll let you keep guessing. Love a good time zone rant. It's about that time of the year where I need to say we need to get rid of time zones again. There you go. Nicole Goodman and her hubby. I think he was involved on the investigation side with the Menendez brothers. So we'll see. All right. How's everybody doing today? You got bleach in your laundry room? Anything fun going on? The more I think about it, the more I think I have to go and make sure I don't have bleach underneath that freezer. But how do you? I need like a little tiny. Maybe I'll use like the handle of a fly swatter with paper towels on it, Bounty paper towels so they don't rip, so I can slide it under there and just see if there's any bleach. I don't know what else. I don't want to move that freezer. Okay, first of all, it's so heavy it's going to rip up the floor. And I don't want to have to thaw the thing out so I can get the food out of it so it's light enough that I can move it. Oh, I'm afraid my garage is starting to smell clean. Something has spilled. Use your littlest kid's fingers. Not with bleach. We spilled bleach. And every floor in my house has a slant to it. I like to think that it's for drainage reasons. For when the roof leaks, the floor is slanted for drainage reasons. Okay, so you don't have pools of water on the floor. It's actually ingenious that they came up with this. How much bleach did y'all spill? There's about a fifth of the gallon left, and I'm not sure how much was in it to begin with, but it's a fairly new bottle, so maybe half a gallon or so of bleach. A feature, not a bug, yeah. We'll list that when we sell the house. We're like, hey, check out the slanted floors. We'll refer to it as pitched floors. Pitched floors, because that sounds intentional. All right, let's see. I wouldn't want to move a freezer either, but I'd be worried bleach might cause corrosion if it sits there. To the freezer or the floor? Because it's not like concentrate, right? It's the easy, no spill, splashless for clothing. I don't know. It might be bad. Might be bad. I would check on the wood floors. Okay. Patricia says, fun info. I'm officially voiceover legit with home studio booth. If you need any Spanish language voiceover, let me know. I already speak Spanish myself, Patricia, because I can say yo quiero Taco Bell. And like there's another word I know. Hola, I think. So I'm pretty much fluent in Spanish. That is awesome, Patricia. That is awesome. Splashless is not bleach. Tambien. Very good, I think. Is that what it means? Okay. Yes. There are no bugs under the freezer. That bleach, I'm sure, killed them all. I know some cuss words. I used to work with a couple Hispanic gentlemen. Absolutely amazing. Good friends of mine. There was one guy who was his name was Isidoro, and Isidoro Delgado, full name, and great guy. And he would come up with the oddest questions. We'd be working on this machinery, which at any moment could like slam and close on our hands and sever our arms. And he'd be asking me random questions about movies and things like that, and cars and would you rather stuff. Funny guy, really good guy. Put a fan under to. Will bleach dry up in the air? Because I can do a fan. Virginia, a little of both, but mostly movies. I speak self-defense Spanish. I know when you're calling me bad names, I'll never starve to death. Yes, bleach will dry. Let me get a fan tonight then. We'll do that. So, all right. There we go. Where do you want to go to watch the rest of today? Do you want to go to Trial TV Live? Is there somebody else you'd like us to portal over to so you can all watch something together? Because we will not be following the rest of Lori Vallow because they just go too late in the day. Can swear in Spanish, Italian, and Welsh. For some reason, Welsh. All the words in Welsh sound like swear words to me. Can we do a command party so we can get all the active commands? Sure, you've got a couple minutes. Defense diaries. Let me.
The apocalypse may be upon us.
There you go.
Because he's the guy.
We'll let this run its course for a second.
In front of the Walmart.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant. I'm not a cat.
I don't like podiums, Your Honor.
Squirrel.
Make it so it
I'm
echoes
not a
again.
camel.
The echoes are terrible.
Shame on you, sir.
Alex stole it.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Thank you, sir. You're my new best friend.
Happy birthday. You look good. Have them send someone with more experience.
Don't miss the forest for the trees.
Bring the jury.
Did we get all of them?
When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
I think we got all of them. All right. With that said, we're going to play a little bit of music. We're going to portal over to Trial TV Live. I need to give.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting. I don't know who won.
I need to give Chris a call real quick and talk to him as well. So, all right. What about Runkle? Is Runkle on?
I saw a chicken fight.
I don't see him. I don't see him on.
Jay.
Oh, the Runkle soundbite.
That we here in Canada hate you and hope for bad things for you because we hate you.
There we go. It's the same volume switch as the music, so it just gets drowned out. All right. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back with Karen Reed. We've got a hearing, and then the trial kicks off Tuesday next week. We'll do a little court hopping. Might go a little bit back to Lori Vallow a little bit as things are wrapping up for the state. This can be good. Do make this request, and thank you, Samantha Terry, for pointing this out. When you land on Trial TV Live, even if you don't stay there, just jump through the portal, click the like button, say hi, bail if you have to, that's all right. But just say hi and give them the thumbs up on the channel. That would be great. They're great people down there. We love working with them. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll see you back in the morning. Have a good one. Bye-bye.